water, aprons, tools, a coil extruder, a slab roller, a kick wheel, an electric wheel, a kiln, all needed in the process of making new art. Some of you may have experienced this in high school or have paid for a class to have been taught something similar. If you cannot find me in my actual class, you will find me in the art room. I will either be doing things like throwing on the wheel, trimming a piece, glazing, or throwing some finishing touches on a finished piece like the one I just showed you. Many use art as an everyday outlet like myself. Today, we will deep dive into the reclaim and I will show you the history of ceramics and how it came to be, the mannerisms of the kiln firings, and the clay and its type of minerals. If you're lucky, I'll let you pick which wheel you want to use to take this adventure with me. Wheel throwing came from a rock tied to a string and men throwing it in a circle to get a manual wheel moving, since electricity obviously wasn't offered back then. Ceramics was developed and sought after in the Neolithic period. Deneen Pottery has informed me that the first pottery wheel has been around since 6000 to 4000 BC and was first made in Mesopotamia. The early ceramic was made in 2900 BC, and it is the Venus of Polani Veneti's nude sculpture. I will now take a moment and look at Paul Koch, which is a very renowned potter who has done things like wood firing. Yes, okay. He has built his own wood firing kiln, his own raku kiln, and he even built his studio from the ground up except the electrical. His website, Welcome to the Creek, tells us how he was not originally born in Carson, Iowa. He was actually born in Long Island, New York. He spent his youth by the sea, and he incorporates feelings of movement into all of his pieces. He served in Vietnam in 2002, and then he yearned for creativity, so now he lives in Macedonia with his wife, Carol Jean Koch, sorry. Okay. Clay was not able to be fired until they found fire. So raw clay was the only solution until they developed the means to be able to do so. Diamond Core Tools shares the inside of an insulated kiln, which shows all of the elements in the wiring to burn our pieces at such high temperatures that we are able to have shiny, food-safe dinnerware, all of these pieces that we can eat off of safely and not get lead poisoning. This is a wood firing kiln. So what this kiln does is it will burn for 72 hours, but every 30 minutes you will have to stroke it with wood. So essentially you will be chucking wood inside this kiln so it can get that ash and that shiny color that you see on this pot right here. It takes Paul Koch, a team of 12, shifts to throw wood into this kiln, and then it takes almost another 2 days to cool down completely. Next, we will look at raku, which is taking it down about 1500 degrees. We will pull these pieces out of the kiln when it is red hot, and we will shove it in a trash can filled with newspaper, and we can throw things like horsehair, sugar, and we will essentially be suffocating it. So it will lose all access to its oxygen, and that is how we get all of the vibrant patterns, the luster, the shininess on these pots, because we are taking away all of the oxygen and then we are scrubbing off the carbon to reveal its results. Lastly, we have pit firing, which is where you dig a giant hole in the ground and you cover it with wood, newspaper, kind of just whatever you feel like, because you can get many different results. And then you light it for 4 to 6 hours, and then you let it cool down for essentially 70 hours, and then you can also see the carbon sulfate on the pots itself. But these pieces are more for just decoration. They can't be food safe because you pull them out of the ground. Okay. Let's see how clay bodies change. We have red clay, gray clay, white clay, red, black, gray, white. There we go. Kiln arts tells us how minerals are never the same across clay. This is porcelain. It is closely resembled as something like cream cheese since it's so malleable. But kaolin is the purest form of clay. Stoneware bodies include things like gray to dark brown, which are high in things like grog, which is sand. So it kind of feels like sandpaper. Then we have earthenware, which is found by creeks, and you can find them near creeks. They're mainly by water, so they are very hard to tell if you're just playing in mud or you're actually finding raw clay. But it breaks down because it's so porous. Okay. This was a lot to take in for someone new to the world of art. Today we learned about the history of pottery, we learned about the type of kilns, and we learned about the minerals in our clay. I can't wait to see what crazy art you make with learning all this new information. Raku is my personal favorite. Maybe we'll see each other at Paul Coach's class in the spring.